Welcome to HFY Galactic Stories, original science fiction tales, where humans face impossible odds, and the galaxy pays the price for its ignorance. Listen carefully. This is where legends are born. The impossible detection. The space in front of the Kreth reconnaissance fleet just went on and on. The Kreth Imperial Reconnaissance Fleet was moving through the Outer Rim territories. Commander Zarn was standing on the bridge of the Sovereign Talon. He had his forearms crossed behind his back. This is what people in charge do. The lighting on the bridge of the Sovereign Talon was soft and violet. It made Commander Zarn's crimson exoskeleton look really good. His eyes are special because they are made up of parts. These eyes were looking at a lot of information on the displays. The Kreth Imperial Reconnaissance Fleet was still moving through the Outer Rim territories. Commander Zarn was still on the bridge of the Sovereign Talon. The Kreth Empire was in charge of the galaxy for a very long time, over 3,000 cycles. The Kreth Empire had the technology, the strongest military, and nobody could stand up to them. Zarn worked for the Kreth Empire for 200 cycles. In all that time, Zarn never met any species that could beat the Kreth Empire. Most people were happy to have the Kreth Empire protect them after they saw how powerful the Kreth Empire fleet was. The ones who did not want the Kreth Empire to protect them learned that it was not an idea to fight back. The Kreth Empire was just too strong. Today was supposed to be a day. The fleet was doing its checks along the border of the space we have been to, looking for asteroids with lots of minerals and searching for simple civilizations that might be ready to join the Empire. Zarn thought he would just be doing paperwork and sometimes looking at a moon that has no life on it. The Empire was what the fleet was working for. Zarn was just doing his job for the Empire. Lieutenant Vex walked up to the command platform. He was moving fast and he seemed upset. Lieutenant Vex was pretty young to have such a rank. He was 60 cycles old. He had done a great job when they moved into the core ward sectors. Now though, Lieutenant Vex did not seem like himself. He usually had a lot of confidence. That was not there now. Lieutenant Vex looked shaken. "Commander, we found something with the energy at 275 Mark 8, Vex said. His voice was full of worry. "The energy readings are not like anything we have seen before in our database. We do not know what to make of the Vex energy readings. The Vex energy signature is really strange." Zarn's mouth parts clicked together because he was a little annoyed. Weird readings happen a lot when you're really far out in space. Stars and other things in space can make the sensors give data. It is probably something like a pulsar or a magnetar that is not behaving, Lieutenant. Look at the scans again. Find out what is making this happen. Zarn wants to know what the source of these readings is. Refine the scans. Tell Zarn what you find out about the source that is causing these problems. "So we have taken a look at the scans," Vex said. "This is definitely not something that happens on its own in nature. The energy we are seeing is man. It is really big. Whatever is making this energy reading has a lot of power, more power than our biggest battle stations." The bridge was really quiet all of a sudden. Every single officer looked over at the command platform. Zarn got a chill that went through his body. For 3,000 cycles of recorded history, the Kreth technology was always the best. No other species had ever been able to make power generation capabilities that were better than the Kreth technology. It was just not possible for any species to do that. The Kreth technology was the best. On the screen, Zarn said. His voice was steady even though he was getting more and more uneasy. He wanted to see the sensor data on the screen. "Display the sensor data from the sensors," Zarn told them. "The main viewport." Now I saw a tactical display instead of the stars. In the middle of this display there was a mark that kept flashing, and this mark showed where the strange signal was coming from. On the sides of the screen I saw a lot of information scrolling down, like how much energy was being used and what was happening with gravity and tiny particles. The thing is, what I was seeing did not make sense when I thought about the rules of physics that I knew. The main viewport was still showing me this display, and the anomalous signature was still the main thing I was looking at. Science Officer Krell went to the analysis station. Started working on it. Her fingers were really long. They moved quickly over the controls. Science Officer Krell told the commander that the first look at the data shows that the signal is coming from one big thing. The amount of energy it is putting out says it is using an advanced way of making energy, but Science Officer Krell does not know how it is keeping everything under control. Science Officer Krell also saw signs of something that looks like the thing is moving small things from one place to another in a way that Science Officer Krell has never seen before. Zarn leaned forward. Looked at the data closely with his primary eyes. At the time, his secondary eyes looked over the tactical overview. Zarn wanted to know how far this object was from the spaceship's position. He asked, "How far is the object from our position?" "The distance to the Kelmar is 40,000. If we keep going at this speed we will be able to see the Kelmar in 2 intervals." We are talking about the Kalmar, and the Kalmar will be, in our view, soon. Change our course now. Get us closer to what's out there at the fastest speed we can without going to light speed. All of our ships need to stay in battle formation. Get our main weapons ready. Do not turn them on yet. I want to know what the space enemy is before we do anything to attack them. We are going to deal with the space enemy. I want to be prepared. The fleet changed its path. 6 huge warships moved together perfectly. Each warship was a piece of work from the Kreth engineers, and they could destroy a whole planet in just a few hours. The Kreth warships had power to take over a whole star system. But as the Kreth warships got closer to the signal, Zarn felt something that he had not felt in a very long time. He was really not sure what to expect. The Kreth warships were powerful. Zarn was still unsure about what they would find. The fleet was getting closer. The sensors were giving us more information. Science Officer Krell was working hard at her station. She is usually very calm. Now she was very excited. Maybe she was scared. The fleet was getting closer. The sensors were telling us more about what was going on. Science Officer Krell was trying to learn much as she could from the sensors. Commander, I think the object we found is definitely not natural. It looks like some kind of ship. The size of this thing is really big. It is 12,000 Kalmar long and 3,000 Kalmar wide. We do not know what the object is made of. When we try to scan it, the scan just gets absorbed instead of bouncing back to us. The ship is absorbing our scan, so we cannot get a reading on what it is made of. The ship is just absorbing everything we throw at it. Zarn said this again, absorbing our scans? That just does not make sense. Our scanning technology is really advanced. It works with something called quantum entanglement principles. Far as we know, there is no material out there that can absorb these special particles without messing up the quantum state. Zarn repeated that it should be impossible for anything to absorb our scans like that. That is what is happening, sir. This thing we are looking at, I do not know what it is made of. The materials used to build this vessel are something we have never seen before. We just do not understand how it was made. The materials used are just not something we know about. Lieutenant Vex pulled up information on another screen. Commander, I looked at the energy signature. Compared it to what we know about other civilizations. The energy signature has some things in common with something we have seen before. It is not a perfect match. The energy signature is similar to something in our database of known civilizations. A partial match? With which species? Vex hesitated, his mandibles trembling slightly. Sir, the signature has things in it that like the technology from Sol 3. This is the planet that the primitive people call Earth. Vex thought about this for a moment, then he said it again. The signature is really like the technology from Sol 3, the planet that the people on Earth use. The bridge was filled with people talking in shock. Earth is a basic planet on the other side of the galaxy. It is home to humans who have just figured out how to travel faster than light. The Kreth looked at humanity 15 cycles ago when they were doing a check of the area. They saw that humans were not very advanced with technology. They had a lot of groups that did not get along, and they were not important to the Empire. Some scientists thought the human body was really interesting. When it came to fighting and technology, humans were not a big deal. The Kreth did not think much of humanity and their abilities. Earth and the humans that lived there were just not that important to the Kreth and their empire. That is just crazy, Zarn said. The humans were still using style rockets to get into space when we checked on them last time. They cannot have made something advanced in such a little time. Zarn thinks this is impossible for the humans to do. The technology is just too big of a deal for the humans to have figured out quickly. The quantum signature is really clear, Commander. The ship is either from humans. It was made using technology that came from humans. Zarn looked at the display and his mind was thinking about all the things that could be happening. Could the humans have found technology from a civilization that does not exist anymore? Did they talk to another species and get help with technology? Was the Kreth Empire's information about what humans can do completely wrong about human capabilities? Zarn thought about the humans. What they are able to do. He wondered if the humans really have the ability to do these things, or if the Kreth Empire made a mistake about the humans. Zarn looked at the display again and thought about the humans. Bring us to a stop when we are 10,000 Kalmar away, Zarn ordered. Now we need to look at the vessel from every side. I want to know everything about it before we do anything else. We should also try to talk to them. Use the steps we take when we meet someone for the first time. The fleet slowed down. Got into a defensive shape around the Sovereign Talon. Every single sensor and scanner and detection system was looking at the vessel in front of them. When the fleet got closer and the scans got stronger, the big window in front of them finally showed a picture of the object. The Sovereign Talon was still in the middle of the fleet. The mysterious vessel was getting closer and closer to the Sovereign Talon. What Zarn saw made his heart stop beating. His blood just stopped moving for a moment. Zarn was really shocked by what he saw. The ship was really big. It made the large Kreth battle stations look small. The outside of the ship was shaped like angles and it looked mean. It was covered in big pieces of dark gray metal that overlapped each other. The engines at the back of the ship were huge. Each one was bigger than a Kreth destroyer. There were a lot of places on the ship where guns could be mounted, hundreds of them, even thousands. This ship did not look like anything the Kreth would build. Kreth ships are nice and smooth. The ship was big and scary. The Kreth vessels are made to look good. The ship was made to look tough. What really surprised Zarn was the writing on the ship. There were letters on the side of the ship that said one word: perseverance. The letters were so big you could not miss them. The Kreth database said this writing was in a language called English. Zarn saw the word perseverance. It stuck in his mind. Our communications officer just told us that we are getting a message. This message is just sound, not video. It is using the regular frequency that everyone in the galaxy uses. The person speaking is using the language. The man told them to put it through. Zarn said this. He spoke very quietly. Zarn gave the order and his voice was really soft. You could hardly hear Zarn. There was a lot of static coming from the speakers on the bridge. Then a voice came on. The voice was really calm. Sounded like a normal person. It was easy to tell that the voice was human. This is Captain Sarah Chin of the Earth Confederation vessel Perseverance. I want to tell you that we have seen your fleet. We noticed that the Earth Confederation vessel Perseverance has detected that your weapon systems are getting ready to fire. This is your warning. You need to turn off your weapons and stay where you are. Do not move closer to the Earth Confederation vessel Perseverance. If you do anything, the Earth Confederation vessel Perseverance will defend itself right away. The transmission. The bridge was silent. People were really surprised. A human was telling a Kreth Imperial commander what to do. A human was saying things to a whole fleet of Kreth battleships. This was just not something that happens. A human was giving orders to a Kreth Imperial commander. A human was threatening a Kreth battle fleet, which is just crazy. As Zarn looked at the warship on his screen, he saw the weapon systems that were now clearly active and following his fleet. This made him think of something that would change everything for the Kreth Empire. The warship was really big. It was clear that it was getting ready to attack the Kreth Empire's fleet. Zarn thought about what this could mean for the Kreth Empire. It was a pretty scary thought. The Kreth Empire's fleet was in trouble because the warship's weapon systems were now active and tracking the Kreth Empire's fleet. The age of unchallenged dominance was over. The truth is finally out. We are talking about the truth that was hidden for long. The truth revealed is what everyone was waiting for. Now that the truth is out, things will never be the same. The truth revealed is going to change everything. Commander Zarn was standing still on the bridge of the Sovereign Talon. He was looking at the human ship on the screen. The human ship was really big. Commander Zarn had been in the military for a long time, over 200 years. His instincts were telling him to attack the ship. He wanted to get rid of the ship before it could cause any problems for the Empire. Commander Zarn was also very smart and careful. He had won battles by thinking things through. He did not like to act without a plan. So he was thinking about what to do with the Sovereign Talon and the human ship. Commander Zarn was looking at the ship and he was thinking about the Empire. He wanted to protect the Empire. The silence on the bridge was really uncomfortable. Every officer was waiting for Lieutenant Vex to give the order. They were all very tense and ready for something to happen. Lieutenant Vex had his hand over the button that controlled the weapons. He was ready to use the Kreth fleet to attack at any moment. Science Officer Krell was still trying to figure out what was going on. She was moving her fingers fast over her computer. The information coming up on her screens was just not possible. The Kreth fleet was a powerful force and everyone on the bridge knew it. Lieutenant Vex and the Kreth fleet were ready to do something. Zarn finally told his people to stand down all of the weapon systems. His voice was loud and clear. It cut through the tension. His people turned to him. They were really shocked. They made clicking noises with their mandibles because they did not understand what he was saying. Zarn said that is what he wanted them to do. He told them to turn off the weapons and just get ready to defend themselves. Zarn said to maintain a posture only, which means they should just be ready to protect themselves and not attack. Commander, this is really not right, Vex said. We do not want to look weak in front of a danger and definitely not in front of humans. Humans are not very advanced, so we should not show them that we are afraid. The humans are a threat and we must be careful around them, the humans. Zarn's eyes were fixed on the lieutenant. This was really intense. It made Vex step back. We cannot make decisions based on information, Lieutenant. That ship has technology that Zarn and the others do not understand. Zarn and the others need to be careful. They will wait until they have information about the ship. Is that clear, Lieutenant? Yes, Commander, Vex said, feeling properly scolded by the commander. Zarn turned back to the communications officer. I want you to open a channel to the vessel. I am really curious to know what Captain Chin has to say to us about this situation. Let us hear what Captain Chin is thinking. The communications officer worked his controls. A little while later the view screen split into two parts. The picture of the Perseverance was still, on one side its weapons still pointed at the Kreth fleet with precision that was of scary. Then on the side of the view screen the face of a human female showed up. Captain Sarah Chin was not what Zarn thought she would be. Zarn had learned from Kreth intelligence files that Captain Sarah Chin and other humans are emotional and impulsive. They make decisions without thinking them through. Captain Sarah Chin on the screen did not seem that way at all. Her dark eyes were very calm. She looked at Zarn like she was trying to figure him out. Zarn was doing the thing to Captain Sarah Chin. Captain Sarah Chin did not look scared or angry, she just looked like she knew what she was doing. There were streaks in Captain Sarah Chin's black hair, which meant she was probably older and more experienced, at least that is how it works for humans. Commander Zarn of the Kreth Imperial Fleet said this to us. Her voice sounded very calm, just like it did the time she talked to us. She said, "Thank you for turning off your weapons." Commander Zarn of the Kreth Imperial Fleet thought that was an idea. The way she said that really got to Zarn. He kept his cool. "Captain Chin, your ship can do a lot more than we thought. We heard that humans were just starting to explore space. It seems we did not know everything about humanity. Captain Chin, our information about your ship's capabilities was not right." A small smile came on Sarah's face. "The information you got was what we wanted you to know, Commander. When your ships came to our system 15 cycles ago to look around, we decided to make ourselves seem not advanced as we really are. We did this on purpose, Commander. Your survey ships saw what we wanted them to see. That was a system that was not as advanced as it actually is, Commander. You lied to us on purpose?" Zarn felt his mandibles clicking fast, which is what happens when his kind gets upset. "Why did you do that?" Zarn wants to know why you used tricks like that on Zarn and the others. What was the point of deceiving Zarn and his people? Sarah leaned back in her chair. She looked really relaxed, but her eyes stayed fixed on Zarn the whole time. We had been watching Zarn and the people with him. For a long time we were watching what Zarn and the people with him were doing. We saw what happened before Zarn's survey ships got to our planet. We were watching for decades before that. We saw what the Kreth Empire did to civilizations when they took them over. Sometimes it was peaceful. A lot of the time it was not. We saw that the species that got taken over by the Kreth Empire lost the things that made them who they were. They lost their independence and their own way of life. The humanity, we decided that we did not want that to happen to the humanity. The humanity wanted to keep being in control of our lives and make our own decisions, so the humanity made a decision that we would not let the Kreth Empire take over the humanity. The bridge officers looked at each other in an uncomfortable way. The Empire getting bigger was something the Kreth people were very proud of. It showed that they were better than everyone and that they were doing a good job of making the crazy galaxy a more orderly place. When they heard someone say that the Empire was a threat, it made the Kreth people feel very uneasy. The Empire was supposed to be a thing, so it was strange to hear it described in a bad way. The Kreth people did not like to think that the Empire was something to be afraid of. The Empire was the Kreth people's achievement, and they did not want to hear that it was a bad thing. "Our expansion helps to make primitive worlds more stable and brings them progress," Zarn said. He did not really sound like he believed it himself. "The species that we bring into our group get to use our technology. We protect them. We are talking about the species we integrate with, and the truth is that these species benefit from our technology and our protection." "What is the price we have to pay, Commander?" Sarah said in a voice. "We looked into your past. We found out about the Telvari, who did not want to give up their beliefs and were forced to change their ways. We learned about the Zenthari, whose home planet was destroyed by mining after they said no to the Empire's help. We saw what always happens. The Kreth Empire does not want friends. It wants people to do what it says. The Kreth Empire is only looking for people to follow its rules, like the Telvari and the Zenthari had to do." Zarn did not say anything. The things she talked about were real. Were written down in official papers. These things were done to keep everything under control and to get things that the Empire needed. When Zarn said them out loud, the Empire's actions sounded really bad. The Empire's actions sounded different when someone from outside was talking about them. Zarn's words made the Empire's actions sound really wrong. Science Officer Krell broke the silence that had been feeling really uncomfortable. "Captain Chin, when we looked at your ship we found technology that we just do not understand. The way your ship makes power, the materials that make up the hull of your ship, and your weapon systems. All of these things work in ways that are completely new to us. How did the people of humanity manage to make big jumps in technology in what seems like a really short time? We are talking about humanity and the technology of humanity here. The technology of humanity is something that we just do not get. Sarah's face did not look as stern as before. Zarn saw something like pride in her eyes for the first time. We did it by working, being desperate and being very stubborn. When our big telescopes in space first saw your people 200 years ago, we had to make a decision. We could have kept fighting with each other over land and things we needed. We could have worked together to deal with a big threat that could hurt all of us. We decided to work to have unity, and that is what we did. We chose unity. The view screen changed as Sarah shared information with the Kreth fleet. Now you could see pictures of what happened on Earth. These pictures showed how Earth was made and how the Earth Confederation was formed. They also showed how all the resources and smart people came together. Zarn saw how the humans on Earth went from being a bunch of countries fighting with each other to being one team working together to stay alive. The Earth Confederation and the humans were focused on one thing: survival of the humans. The Kreth fleet was learning about the Earth Confederation and the humans. We knew we could not match your technology, Sarah continued. Your matter-antimatter reactors and your energy shielding and your faster-than-engines, you had gotten really good at those things over a very long time. We did not have a lot of time to try to catch up with you. Trying to catch up with your matter-antimatter reactors and your energy shielding and your faster-than-engines would take us thousands of years, and we just did not have that much time. So we decided to try something different with your technology. We looked at your matter-antimatter reactors, your faster-than-light engines, and we chose a different path entirely. Krell leaned forward because her curiosity about science was stronger than the rules she was supposed to follow. What path was she talking about? The path of the science experiment or something else? What path was she trying to find out about? The path that the scientist had taken to get to this point. What path? Sarah said that we looked at mechanics in a big way. People use quantum effects for things like computers talking to each other, but they never really thought about using it for big things. We made our reactors using something called quantum tunneling to keep the hot fusion plasma. We also made materials for our ships using quantum entanglement, which helps spread out the energy when something hits us. Our guns can make changes in quantum things that can really mess up matter at a very small level. Quantum mechanics is a part of what we do, and we use it to make our reactors and ships better. Quantum mechanics also helps us make our weapons very powerful. That is just not possible, Krell said. The amount of energy you need is more than what a small star can give. The quantum coherence thing would just fall apart because it is too complicated. It should be impossible, Sarah agreed. This thing took us a long time, 150 years, and we had a lot of failures. We lost research stations and thousands of scientists. Humans are like this, Commander. We do not want to say that something cannot be done just because it is hard or it is not safe. Humans like to try, and that is what we did with this thing. We kept trying and trying until we made it work. Zarn looked at the captain in a new way. The Kreth were great because they made things better and better. They took ideas and made them work really well. Humans did something that the Kreth never thought of. Humans did not just make things better, they changed everything. They made rules and did things that the Kreth never even thought were possible. The Kreth had always tried to make things perfect. Humans just did things differently. Zarn thought about how the humans had changed the way things were done. The humans had broken all the rules that the Kreth thought were important. Then the humans made their own rules. How vessels like the Perseverance do you have? Zarn asked the person. He did not think they would tell him the truth though. Zarn was asking about the Perseverance vessels. He was not sure what to expect. Sarah's smile came back. It was really mysterious and kind of scary. That is enough, Commander. It is enough to make sure that if you try to make Earth part of your empire by force, it will be too expensive for you. I want to make one thing clear. We did not make these Earth ships because we want to go to war. We made these Earth ships so that we would never have to go to war with the Empire. So what do you want then? Zarn asked, his frustration coming out. If we are not going to fight and if we are not going to be controlled, what is humanity's goal? What is it that humanity wants? Humanity is trying to figure out what to do. Zarn wants to know what the plan is for humanity. We want the things that every other species wants, Sarah said. We want to be able to decide what we do with our lives. We want to be able to travel through the galaxy however we want. We want to meet people from other planets as friends, not as people who are trying to boss us around or be bossed around by us. We want to have peace, Commander. We want it to be a real peace that comes from respecting each other, not from being scared of each other or trying to control each other. Lieutenant Vex said something. His voice did not sound like he believed it. What if the Empire says no? What if they think humanity's technology is too dangerous? They do not want it to be used on its own? Sarah's face became really tough. This was the first time Zarn saw the strong person behind her calm and polite outside. Then you will find out what happens when you threaten the Zorvath species that spent 200 years getting ready for that situation. I would really hope it does not come to that. The galaxy is really big. There is room for many groups to exist together, many groups like the Zorvath species. Zarn thought about what she was saying carefully. The Empire and everything it stood for was being questioned by this human and her amazing ship. He could not say she was wrong. The Empire would have to spend a lot of money and resources to try and control humanity. Even if they succeeded, it would still be very expensive. And if there were ships like the Perseverance somewhere in the area that Earth controlled, the war could go on for a very long time, maybe even decades, and the Empire would have to deal with the Perseverance and other ships like it. Zarn was really thinking about the Perseverance and what it meant for the Empire. Zarn said finally that he has to talk to the Imperial High Command. The situation is too big for him to handle on his own. He is willing to suggest that they try to talk things out before thinking about using the military. Zarn thinks this is an idea because diplomatic options are usually better than military action. Zarn wants to make sure the Imperial High Command is involved in the decision-making process regarding the situation and diplomatic options and military action. That is all we are asking for, Commander Sarah said. We do not want to be the Kreth Empire's enemies unless you make us that way. The people of Earth want to work with the Kreth Empire to share what we know and what we have to help each other with the problems we all face. The Kreth Empire and Earth must work together as equals, not with the Kreth Empire telling Earth what to do. We want the Kreth Empire and Earth to be partners. The communication. The view screen went back to showing the Perseverance. The Perseverance was still in the position. The Perseverance was still pointing its weapons at the Kreth fleet with accuracy. Zarn just stood there quietly. He knew his report was going to cause a stir in the Imperial hierarchy. The Perseverance and the Kreth fleet were still a concern for Zarn. The guy in charge said, we need to send a message to Imperial Command away. This message is very important. We have to tell them that we found a big power in the galaxy. This new power is a deal, and it means that the Kreth people will not be in charge of everything like they used to be. We have to make sure Imperial Command knows that the time when the Kreth people were not challenged is probably over. The message to Imperial Command is a priority. It has to be sent with a quantum burst transmission. The priority level of this message is the highest it can be. We are talking about the Kreth dominance. How it is changing. The Kreth people and Imperial Command need to know about this major power in the galaxy. The crew was working on the report. Zarn looked at the warship. He felt something about humans that he never thought he would feel. He felt respect for humans. Humans saw that they were up against a stronger force. They did not give up. They got ready to fight if they had to. Humans did something in 200 years that most species cannot do in thousands of years. Zarn thought this was really something. He thought humans were very strong. The human warship was a deal to Zarn. He looked at it. Felt respect for humans. The galaxy would never be the same. In the weeks that followed news of the encounter, with the Kreth spread like crazy through space and Kreth space, something unexpected started to happen. Other species that were part of the Empire began to ask questions. They saw that humans were able to negotiate with the Kreth from a position of strength. So they asked themselves, if humans can do this, why can the other species not do the thing? If humans are able to remain independent, then the other species started to wonder, why can they not remain independent? Well, the humans were able to make their decisions, and the other species wanted to know why they could not make their own decisions too. The Perseverance did not fire any shots, it did not destroy any ships, it did not conquer any worlds. Just by being there, the Perseverance did something really big. It showed that the Kreth Empire was not too powerful to beat. The Perseverance proved that there were choices besides giving in to the Kreth Empire. The Perseverance also showed that what happens in the future of the galaxy is not already decided. The future of the galaxy is not set in stone. The Perseverance showed that the Kreth Empire does not control everything. The Perseverance showed that the future of the galaxy is what the people in the galaxy make it. The Perseverance gave people hope that they can make their future. The Perseverance gave people hope that they do not have to live under the control of the Kreth Empire. Captain Sarah Chin and Commander Zarn will see each other a lot in the few years. Sometimes they will be on sides, but most of the time they will have to work together even though they do not really want to. The way Earth and the Kreth Empire get along is still pretty complicated. Everyone is on edge, but things start to change in a way that surprises both Earth and the Kreth Empire. They actually start to work for real. Captain Sarah Chin and Commander Zarn and the people of Earth and the Kreth Empire will have to figure out how to make this new cooperation thing work. The Kreth Empire and Earth are trying to find a way to get along, and Captain Sarah Chin and Commander Zarn are a part of it. People have always wanted to be seen and heard, to be treated with respect, and to have the freedom to live their lives. They did something amazing. They actually got all of these things. This changed the course of history for so many different worlds and societies out in space. Humanity had really made a difference. Humanity had changed the destiny of countless civilizations across the stars, and this was a big deal for humanity. The galaxy was vast, filled with wonders and dangers beyond imagination. But now, for the first time in millennia, it was also filled with hope that dominance was not destiny, that strength came in many forms, and that the future belonged not to those who conquered, but to those who dared to stand equal.